Also back on Monday, Bournemouth and West Ham draw 1-1, which means Julian Lopetegui, by the way, condolences, lives to fight another day. But Jules, Andoni Iraola is pretty angry about that penalty award for the Tyler Adams handball.
He thought that was really harsh and shouldn't have been given. It was a crazy end of the game between the Paqueta penalty and then the wonderful free kick from Munal to get the point for Bournemouth, who had plenty of chances. I mean, both teams, to be fair, I thought it was quite a good game considering West Ham's struggles so far this season. And to go to Bournemouth and have a decent performance. So it's just a draw and doesn't really move anything for either, because Bournemouth could have gone over City had they won that game and really might feel disappointed. But I thought that was a good point from a West Ham point of view.
I love Iraola. I think he's phenomenal in a slotless world. I think he would be a definite candidate for Manager of the Year. But why is he annoyed about the penalty? Tyler Adams.
I know, he thought it was harsh. Yeah.
Arms are all up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, that gets given.
Gab, we have an Artem Dovbyk sighting. He scores twice as Roma rolled to a 4-1 win over Sampdoria in the Coppa Italia.
Yeah, this is one of those games. This is one of the issues with the Coppa Italia. You have two teams that are doing really badly.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, God, we have to play this game. But I think for Roma, it was an opportunity for some of the guys who haven't played as much, like Sule, like Dovbyk, like Pellegrini, to go and show what they could do. It was always going to be a win over Sampdoria. And I think he needs the big man firing. I don't want to see Paulo Dybala playing up front. I don't really want to see Paulo Dybala at all. And guess what? Roma don't want to see him either, because the narrative that they're putting out is that, like, oh, everything would have been different if we'd only been able to sell Paulo Dybala over the summer. When there was remember that offer that they all talked about? Yeah. Which I don't think, and I said so on the show, I don't think ever existed.
Yeah.
You're putting out a really stupid narrative and you should cut it out. Rodrigo Bentancur's appeal over a 7-game ban for the Heung-min Son incident has been rejected. Jules, are you okay with this?
We knew it would be rejected really by the FA, but we also said that 7 was a lot and probably too harsh, too strict, too much. That 3 or 4 would have been enough. I think he got his lesson, he understood. Heung-min Son said they've all moved on from it. So 7 feels really, really, really harsh. But again, we know how the appeal system works here, and there was no way they would have cut that down.
All I'm going to say here is, what is your goal with this kind of ban, right? Once he recognizes his error, once the victim of his error says, oh, I never had an issue with it, blah, blah, blah. Once you're satisfied that he's educated. I guess
they're making a point, but like an example.
I don't know. I just don't see the point of 7. What 7 games makes the example, but 3 games does not.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If they made it 15 games, would it be even more of an example?
It is harsh. According to multiple reports, Everton's takeover by the Friedkin Group will be approved today. Gab, remind Toffees what they have to look forward to, please.
Well, you have to look forward to an ownership group that are really, really rich. I mean, the Friedkin Group, I think they had revenues of like 14 billion last year. Yeah. They're kind of like the richest people that nobody's heard of in the business world. The dad, Dan Friedkin, was a stuntman and flies his own planes. At Roma, I think the Swiss Ramble had this out. Because Roma lost like 800 million euros over the last 5-6 or since they took over, something like that. And if you factor in the amount of money the Friedkins put in to acquire the club, they're around about $1 billion, which is pretty extraordinary. And they don't take on debt; it's their own money putting in it. Now, are they productive? Productive owners? They're extremely high profile. They're getting destroyed at Roma, partly for the way it ended with Jose Mourinho, partly for the way it ended with Daniele De Rossi. They have a different leadership style. It might work better in the Premier League, but only if they appoint the right people to go and speak for them. It's very odd the way they run the club. But like I said, compared to so many grifters out there, compared to so many weirdos, these people, at least, they put their skin in the game and they stand behind it. Let's talk Women's Champions League. Not too many key clashes in match day 6. Most of the groups were decided, but there were a couple. Yeah. Arsenal's comeback win against Bayern stood out. That's pretty dramatic. And Barcelona got the revenge win over Manchester City to top the group. Was it like Barcelona? when Barcelona lost the City the first time around, it was like what their first defeat in
in
a billion games.
I think since that final against Lyon a couple of years ago. And they won 3-0, which means that they topped their group. For Arsenal, they had to beat Bayern in London on Wednesday night to top their group because they had lost to Bayern, obviously, earlier in the in this group stage. And Bayern were good in that game. It was a really good game, to be fair, with a lot of things happening. And when Arsenal were 2-1 down, you thought, maybe not. But then set pieces saved them. Then they had a late penalty that Mariona Caldente scored to win 3-2 and for Arsenal to top their group, which obviously is very good when the draw will be made for the quarterfinals that will happen in March.
So they just get to play Barcelona a little bit later.
Well, yeah, at least you're sure to avoid them in the quarterfinals, which is what everybody would want. The Telegraph here in England report that Liverpool and Manchester United fans will join forces in a protest against ticket prices when they face off on January 5th. Gab, it's a good idea?
I mean, fans need to be heard. I think it's pretty obvious that, you know, as a supporter, when you come out and you say, or you ask them, oh, do you think your ticket prices are too high? You know, very few are going to say, no, they're about fair. Actually, this is a really good deal. I should get a little more. It's a complex thing. It has to do with, obviously, the owners. The owners are in it to make money. Now, I think these situations are a little bit different between Liverpool and United because, to my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected, the people who own Liverpool, Fenway Sports Group, they don't take massive dividends. They don't lump debt onto the club. And what money they make, they generally reinvest. At United, it was a different story for a long time under the Glazers. Then they made large losses, and now they're trying to jack it up. It's really difficult. People in the U.S. look at this and say, well, wait a minute. You know, attending, forget the NFL, because that's a different panel. But attending an NBA game or attending even a freaking NHL game, you know, will cost me as much as going to Old Trafford and Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, going to an MLS game will probably cost the same. Going to an MLS game might cost more. And what I would say is different history, different profile of fan, you know, different economic reality. And I don't know. I mean, I think for United, it's more of an issue right now than for Liverpool, but people are always on lookout. And I think clubs also realize we're not going to make money through ticket prices for the rank and file. We'll make our money
with boxes,
through skyboxes, commercial partnerships, and so on. Jules, we had bad news for Barcelona fans earlier with the Dani Olmo news, but let's get them excited now because Ibrahim Diarra has turned 18, which means he can now be registered as a first-team player.
That's right. If you remember the last under-17 World Cup, he was outstanding with Mali. They paid 2.5 million euros for him to the academy that he went through and that produced him in a way.
It's like Club Africain or something?
Yeah, something like that. So a very exciting player, winger with a lot of pace and skill and very strong. And I think a lot of people are very excited to see him in La Masia setup kind of things for the reserve team and the youth teams. He's joining another of the star of that under-17 World Cup in Noah Davic, who won it with Germany, obviously. So it looks very good for the future as well from a Barcelona point.
I think he's been training with Barcelona, obviously, since November.
But now he can finally play,
now he can finally play,
yeah. So it's good. The Lille president, Olivier Létang, has spoken out on Wednesday night over the Victor Osimhen deal that took him from Lille to Napoli a couple of years ago. Gab, remind everyone about this because it's incredible and the story hasn't gone away at all.
Yeah, this remains one of the mysteries of football. Now, this happened before Olivier Létang and under Gerard Lopez, and before the current owner came in, Alessandro Barnaba and his group. Basically, we all reported he went from Lille to Napoli for 70 million.
Yeah.
So first of all, we know that 20 million of that wasn't actually cash. It was 4 players, 3 of them youth players. One of them like a 37-year-old backup goalkeeper on an expiring contract. I don't think they ever actually went to Lille because they were loaned straight back to different situations. Letang says those 4 guys were worth 0.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of commissions paid on this.
Yeah.
Letang says only 7 million actually made it into the club's bank accounts.
I find that incredible, though.
he assumes his own responsibility for what he says. I mean, 70 million, take off the 20 for the 4 fictional
Yeah,
players.
that's 50. What?
That's
and so
40
43 million have gone into commissions, retro commissions, and stuff like that.
I don't know. This is kind of what like there's.
Yeah.
I mean, there are serious police inquiries in
Yes.
France
And
in Italy right
Yeah.
now. I think from Napoli's perspective, say like, hey guys, we paid the money. We said these guys are worth 20 million, whatever. I think there was a factor about needing to inflate the fee to make it look like it was 70 million.
Yeah.
To satisfy certain things on the books. I don't know, but it's such an odd story, and
weird.
it's sad for Lille that they inherited the situation.
Absolutely.
It's time! It's time! It's Texter time! Jules, according to the Daily Mail, he has he's got this new group called Sports Bank, the preferred bidders for his 45% stake in Crystal Palace. And the deal is imminent, which I guess he can use this money now to keep the DNCG from relegating Lyon. It's 100 million he needs.
He needs 100 million. It seems like he's selling his shares for 230 million pounds.
That's what he says.
So that's what he says. So 250, which is more than we thought he would ever get, right?
If it happens, yeah.
Yeah, considering that once you buy the shares, you own 45%, but actually, in terms of influence on the club and what you say, your voice is worth
25%,
right? So, not as much power as you think you might get. So good luck to Sports Bank, who are two Crystal Palace fans from South London. So at least we like that. We like that fans can get, as rich as they are, obviously, can get involved into their own club.
There's some suggestion that they might actually be buying into some formula, maybe buying into Eagle Football Group, which of course includes Libertadores champions Botafogo, champions of nothing Molenbeek.
That's right.
And Lyon possibly relegated. But by the way, that 100 million for Lyon, I was listening to a podcast about, who can they sell to raise that 100 million? And obviously, Ryan Cherky is the obvious asset.
Him and Fofana are the two highest.
Malik
value.
Fofana, yeah?
Yeah, Malik Fofana, yeah.
But the guy's 19 years old.
He's still worth easily 40.
Okay.
Like Cherky, yeah.
So Cherky presumably is not going to want to leave unless it's to a big club, because he's got a deal through 2026, right?
But if they don't qualify for, he wants to play in the Champions League. He wants to play for France. So he needs to play.
Does he want to play for Italy? We said he's got.
Yeah, but no.
Not going to happen.
So I think, but then you've got players like Cacré, like Nuama, who are good players who would go, but not. You would have to sell a lot of them to get to 100 million. Whereas I think Cherky and Fofana together could get you very close to it. So he needs to find more money. So he's going to move some of the money from account to account and hope for the best.
Can you explain to me again? I just want to remind us. This is what. Sorry, JT, but we've said so many nice things about you recently. Now we need to balance it back out. In August, they know they're heading towards a situation.
Yeah.
And they go and they buy like everybody and their mother in the last weeks of the transfer window. And you get things like Orel Mangala. Can you explain this?
So, the loan from Mangala to Everton?
Why?
Well, they could not sell him, so at least...
But why they sign him?
Well, they signed him, they had him on loan before with the obligation to buy. So, he came in January with Ben Rama. But
then 6 months later, we don't want you anymore.
I know. It's been a bit of a shamble. But at least it seems like they're in a better shape now with the way the way it's structured. Daniel Congré is their kind of technical director. Louis Jean is their kind of head of recruitment. So it looks better, but you're right. They will still need to find the 100 million somewhere.
And they have a lot of older players on big wages like Tolisso and Lacazette.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, the worst for me, I think, is Wilfried Zaha.
But he's on loan too, isn't he?
He's on loan, but... at least bring somebody on loan that you're going to play, because he's not even... I don't even think sometimes he makes the bench.
Maybe they brought him on loan for the privilege of paying his wages.
Yeah, maybe. You're right, maybe. Genoa said goodbye to the 777 gang because they have a new owner. It's good news for the historic Serie A club. Well, I guess the oldest even.
That's right. Winners of 9 Serie A titles.
Yeah.
Okay, so the man name is Dan, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly,
Suku, yeah.
He's the owner of Rapid Bucharest. Good news is 777 are kind of cauterized at this point, to use a medical term. Essentially, didn't really buy the club. The club needed a capital increase, and obviously 777 don't have any money because they have the legal bills and whatever. So he put in 40 million, got 77% of the club. Not a bad deal. Okay, I'm only gonna. This is really childish and stupid, but I still think it's slightly funny. Dan Suchu he made his money originally. He's an entrepreneur. He's active in different fields, but he made his money originally with a company called Mob Expert,
Right.
which has nothing to do with the mob. It has to do with furniture.
Okay.
Just-
Yeah. Sofas. He sold sofas.
I
didn't
made
he?
the joke once, Mob Expert, and so now we can move on. I won't do it again. Promise. Hold me to it.
He also, I think, presented The Apprentice Romanian version. You know the show
Really?
The Apprentice, yeah.
He's the Donald Trump of Romania.
He
Well, except he
is,
hasn't
yeah.
entered
Oh,
politics
Lord
yet.
Sugar, yeah.
CAF gave out their African Football of the Year awards, and it's Ademola Lookman
Well
and
done.
Barbara Banda.
Yeah,
You okay with that, Jules?
absolutely. They both fully deserve it. Ademola Lookman looked stunning with his mum and dad arriving in the traditional robe. He had a lovely speech that he'd prepared. He's been obviously wonderful, not just in the Europa League final against Bayer Leverkusen and his hat-trick with Atalanta, but just overall in 2024. It's been an incredible year. And Barbara Banda as well. She's been wonderful in the NWSL. So they fully deserve it.
Winning the league title, of course, with Orlando. But
Yeah.
hey, just for all those Scousers out there, Liverpool fans, who say, like, wait a minute, fully deserved, what about Mohamed Salah? What do you say to them?
I said that Salah has been, I think, really good, but not to the level, I think, of what Ademola Lookman brought both for team and country.
And yeah, Salah didn't win anything, right?
The League Cup? Yeah, but still.
Okay, the other dude won the Europa League anyway.
True,
Yeah, okay,
true.
thank you.
Pep Linders has been sacked as coach of RB Salzburg. How sad. Gab, is it a bit weird that this happened just a few days before his old friend Jurgen Klopp takes over as head of the Red Bull organization?
I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Austrian football, but this is, I do know what their budget is reportedly relative to the other teams in the league. They are fifth.
Yeah, terrible.
They are 10 points back. It's
Terrible.
inevitable and they stunk it up in the Champions League as well. Though not as bad as that other Red Bull club, Leipzig. So yeah, no, you got to go. I think that totally makes sense. It is slightly odd, given that how close he supposedly is to Jurgen Klopp. Klopp's taking over in a few months.
A few days, even 1st of Jan.
1st of Jan. There you go. I presume that they have some sort of Christmas break, so that it is Austria after all. There's snow. They all go to the Christmas markets. Did they purposely do this so that Klopp wouldn't have to be the one telling him?
But surely Klopp said, "Listen, do it now because I don't want to do it in 10 days' time."
Yeah, I would assume
Surely.
so. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just shocked that they kept it going
That
until
long,
now,
to be fair.
when the situation was so dire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pep Linders, I believe, originally, I thought Klopp had brought him with him, but no. Apparently, as we learned last night, because I forget things, he was a Brendan Rodgers guy.
Yeah, he was there before Klopp. Yeah. Then left and then come back.
Jules, you love awards.
Yeah, I
I
do.
love making fun of them.
You do?
FIFA the Best named Vini and Aitana as the top men and women players of the years. Now, we need to remind people what the jury looks like here.
Yeah.
It's not just a bunch of journalists from irrelevant countries, as Florentino said is true of the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
It is the captains of national teams. It is the coaches of
Leo
national
Messi,
teams.
yeah, voted.
It is a bunch of journalists from, many of them from irrelevant countries, as Florentino might put it. And there's also a fan vote. So there's four
from everywhere.
components.
Exactly.
They're all weighted equally.
Yes, that's right.
Real Madrid must like this more than the
They
Ballon d'Or.
like it, of course they do. I mean, pretty much the coaches and the media voted for Rodri, and the captains and the fans for Vini. There was a bit of Rodri there too. There was a bit of Kylian Mbappe somewhere. So Messi voted for Mbappe in second, and Lamine Yamal in first. I mean, of course, as the Barca family. But yeah, and Vini was very happy to receive his trophy. Aitana is obviously complete non-debate there.
She won
Vini.
every category by like
exactly.
a mile.
She will win everything for both the Ballon d'Or and the best awards. I'm very happy that my boy William Saliba is in the team of the year from the best, in a very unusual left-back position, but it's okay. I think he would still take it.
You weren't here when we did the FIFPro Men's and Women's Awards. I did that because I was, I think, last Thursday with Rob Palmer. Yeah. Suffice to say, you were shocked by the nominations to begin with.
Yeah.
and then you put together what your 11 would have been,
Yes.
which looked nothing like the real 11.
I saw. I'm glad I wasn't there.
Yeah. It was-
Definitely. And the best also recognize the top coaches, Gab.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's an obvious parallel between Carlo Ancelotti and Emma Hayes, I think, in the sense that there's a slight similarity, I think, in the way they approach life.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're two phenomenal coaches. Like Ancelotti was always going to win it because he won the Champions League, and that's how these people think. Emma Hayes beat out the Barcelona coach, who's now Jonathan Giraldez, who's now at Washington Spirit.
Yeah.
You're not going to argue with a guy who just never loses and wins every game.
Absolutely.
And then Artur Elias of Brazil, less familiar with him, but presumably really good as well.
Yeah, Brazil had a good year.
Emma Hayes, does that surprise you a
She
tiny
won the
bit?
Olympics. In an Olympic year, I think it makes a lot of sense to give it to her. And how she turned things around for the US team and what she achieves, especially with the Olympics, I think made a big favorite before.
Jules, you like your Techers. And I invite everybody out there to go back and look at all of these, see if they got it right.
Yeah.
There's the Puskás Award for the best goal of the season. And it was won by Alejandro Garnacho of Manchester United. Yassine Benzia, who is French, but he plays for Algeria.
Yeah.
Is he Paris
No,
born and
he's
bred?
from Lyon.
Oh,
It's okay.
sorry.
It's
But
okay.
this is the fun part of football. He plays for Karabag.
Yeah, now, he's had a great career there.
And the other guy's even cooler. The guy who finished third, Dennis Omedi from Uganda. I was not familiar with this guy. I went to his
me neither.
Wikipedia page. Apparently he's like 30 and he started playing last year. I mean, obviously playing at a higher level last year. Great story.
Yeah, great story, great goal.
Marta's an even weirder story because obviously we know who she is. But this is the first year that they have the award.
That's right.
Because before 2024,
And it's not the Puskás Award for the women. It's called the
Marta Award.
Hey! They had to give it to her for the first.
Well, yeah, obviously, before 2024, women, I guess, in FIFA's view were incapable of scoring
Great
spectacular goals.
Yeah, you're right.
At least we've heard a little bit more about the people who finished second and third. It's Asisat Oshoala from Nigeria, who I think plays in NWSL for Bay FC, I think. And, of course, your girl, Sakina
Come on,
Karchaoui.
Saki.
But who's Marto finish first? Did I get this right? Because you're the technical expert here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's very subjective. You can pick.
But
if you
I
like
care about your opinion more than just
I
Did
love it.
Garnacho win it because it's a popularity contest? He plays for Manchester
No,
United.
it's just a lovely overhead kick.
You don't think
conceded.
Omedi's goal was better?
I like Omedi's goal a lot. I like the Benzia goal. I won't lie. Two, I can see people love an overhead kick though. People love that, and the way Garnacho hit it. There was no shin involved. It was just perfect. The cross was actually quite strong. The shape of his body, everything. It was just wonderful. The trajectory of the ball. So I can see what Garnacho won.
I would have voted for Fede Di Marco. And the women's goal?
Yeah, Marta. I mean, I think this one was a little bit more. Marta is there. It's her award. She's going to retire very soon now. But I would have loved Sakina Karchaoui to win. And it's official, Gabi. Vitor Pereira is the new Wolves manager, replacing our friend Gary O'Neill. They will pay reported €1 million to get him out of his contract with Al Shabaab in Saudi Arabia. Uncle George delivers again.
And gets paid again. You run out of things to say here, right? So the narrative that we've been, I don't even know if it's true, but that, the reason Gary O'Neill ended up there is because Jeff Shee, who runs Wolves on behalf of the Chinese oligarch who owns it, said, let's try to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, because before they were all Georgia guys. Lopetegui, Nuno, and Bruno Lage.
And look, goes to pot with Gary O'Neill, so boom, let's bring in this guy. Look, he's in his mid-50s. He's bounced around quite a bit. I think he's a very competent manager.
Yeah.
Certainly that's the rep. He's not going to screw things up. But it just reinforces the point. It's the same people who run this club who are also agents. And this is such an obvious conflict of interest that I am just shocked that this is not part of the narrative here in terms of regulation. They've got an independent regulator, the fans. This isn't even a blip.
Yeah.
Nobody sees any issue with this.